Good afternoon and welcome to Turnout Radio on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm your guest host, Travis Knights, sitting in for Turnout Radio host Nicole Inica Hamilton, and I'm here to open up with you about the latest on the dance scene. How you doing today? It's so good to be with you on this Wednesday afternoon. Spring is in the air. I mean, I can feel it. The clocks have rolled forward. The sun is rising earlier and earlier. The temperature is rising, and this episode of Turnout Radio will follow suit. Oh, we're turning it up. We're turning up the heat today, folks. We should actually call this episode Turn Up Radio. But hold up. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Travis Knights. I'm a tap dancer. Been doing it since I was 10 years old, and I'm about to turn 40. Listen, time flies when you're swinging on the 2 and 4. It's hard for people to understand what I mean when I say I'm a tap dancer. It means that I play shows. I'm a podcaster. Check out the Tap Love Tour podcast, available everywhere you get your podcasts. I create stage shows, original pieces, music, digital content. I'm currently a Slate music artist in residence at Soul Pepper Theater Company. Everything that I do is related to tap dance. That's what I mean when I say I'm a tap dancer. When Nicole called me and offered me the opportunity to step in for her, I jumped at the specific opportunity to interview one of my favorite tap dancers in Canada. Coming up on today's broadcast, I'm so thrilled to welcome tap dance extraordinaire Johnathan Morin. So stay tuned, stay locked in on CIUT 89.5 FM. We're going to take a short break and be right back with Johnathan Morin.
You're listening to Turnout Radio on CIUT 89.5 FM.
Welcome back to Turnout Radio on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm your guest host, Travis Knights, filling in for Nicole Inica Hamilton. Our guest today, Johnathan Morin, is a 31-year-old Indigenous tap dancer hailing from Treaty 6, Edmonton, Alberta. Now residing in Treaty 13, Toronto, Ontario, he is a force in the tap dance community and known across the country and around the world. A Dora Award nominee, Johnathan co-produces and co-directs Rhythm and Sound Dance Company alongside Corey Giannotta, and also runs his own drop-in classes in Toronto. His passion for the dance has brought him across the country as well as internationally as a performer and educator. With his talent, dedication, and impressive list of accomplishments, Johnathan Morin is sure to continue making rhythmic waves in the world of Canadian tap dance for years to come. I am so pleased to welcome Johnathan Morin to the show. Johnathan, thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm well. I'm happy to be here. Thankful to be here. Yeah.
Listen, thank you so much for doing it. Yeah, you know me by now. There's always like an ulterior motive. There's always like an agenda. And let me give you like full disclosure, folks listening. We made a documentary together. Actually, we're making a documentary together. It's called Restorative Culture, Johnathan Morin. And just, before you jump in, Johnathan, I just want to give a quick backstory. 2020, a year that I'm sure like most of us can't wait to distance ourselves from, but 2020 changed the world in a lot of different ways. yes, we were all in lockdown, or at least those of us who were following the rules were in lockdown. And, specifically for me, it was kind of an incredible time. I was very fortunate that the gigs that I had at the time, they all were honorable and paid up. And so I had a little bit to work with. I was surrounded by family. I was in my lab in the basement creating new things and tap dancing. I'm a tap dancer. And I thought something extraordinary happened on May 25th, 2020, because the world was in lockdown. May 25th, 2020 is International Tap Dance Day. Every May 25th is International Tap Dance Day, where we celebrate the birthday of the incredible ancestor, Bill Bojangles Robinson. And so because we're all in lockdown, like the online activities that were going on, the Zoom meetings, the live streams, it was popping every hour on the hour, all around the world. Something was going on, and something else happened on that same day too. George Floyd was lynched. He was lynched for the world to see, and it broke open a chasm that I experienced as despair. The emotions, the sadness. I cried, and I cry to this day about it. But it's all this built up energy from a 400-year history of horror on this land, in this continent, across the world. Actually, when you think about the transatlantic slave trade. So I was already primed, and my work has always been somewhat political, somewhat trying to push the bar in different ways. And after May 25th, 2020, it just got more and more intense for me. And then shortly thereafter, they found 211 bodies of children buried at a residential school in British Columbia. Do you remember that time, Johnathan?
Yeah, 2015.
2015. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I remember. Well, the thing is that they, like, these stories had been around and spoken about within the Native community before. The thing is now the government found proof, scientific, hard evidence that that we weren't lying. You know what I mean? That, like, the stories that were being told were true. And so for a moment in time, our voices were being heard, and it was it's a shame that it takes, like, thousands of bodies for that to happen. But that's the Western way. You know what I mean? Like, it's backed by science, and it's backed by evidence, and it was only a matter of time. You know what I mean? Like, you only hide bodies for so long, especially when they're across the country still being found, and not just across the country, across the whole entire Turtle Island, North America. This isn't just a Canadian problem. America, the whole America has, blood on their hands. So it was quite the I can't even say it was a day, because it was we would wake up and, like, a couple days later, and they would find more bodies, and then a couple days later, they'd find more bodies, and then it was like, wow, it just kept on happening. So we knew that like this was a um happening across the whole country. Every single place that had residential schools were going to most likely unearth the truth. So
You know, I have two children. My eldest just turned 7, and I have a 5-year-old. They are the light of my life. They are my greatest teachers. Daddy, did you do good this morning? Did you do what you were supposed to do this morning? They hold me to account. They're wonderful. They remind me of like pure joy. I don't know about you, man, but like I can't remember the last time I just like naturally woke up with a smile on my face. That's what my kids remind me of. They're amazing. And to when that story came out, when those stories kept on coming, my heart just broke again and again and again. And the conversation about restorative justice kept on coming about. Subsequently, July 1st, Canada Day. Ever since, it's been very difficult for me to understand what we're celebrating. Very difficult for me to even get down with celebrating Canada Day, because this moment, in my mind's eye, requires us to take full account of what has happened, who we are, and who we want to be to each other. The King of England is about to be coronated, and coronated, was that a word? He's about to have his coronation. I'm not sure. Excuse me. That's how little I've been paying attention, because I don't understand why we should have reverence for that. And to be more specific, I don't understand why I, as a descendant of Africans, should have reverence for that if I know my history. Basically, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to unearth, I'm trying to explain how difficult it is, this moment, as a quote unquote Canadian citizen. Who are we to each other? And I'm using the term difficult to try to empathize with those that perceive it as difficult. I perceive it actually, honestly, as an opportunity, and I'm excited for it. And so, when I spoke to Johnny, however, was it like 2 years ago at this point? I don't know how long we've been making this thing, but the idea in my mind was a concept that I call restorative culture, because more than justice, we can't resurrect those kids. I can't resurrect my ancestors and make sure that they're taken care of and treated well. I feel that the most transformative thing that we can engage in right now is healing. Because from a place of being healed, or on the journey of being healed, we can influence ourselves and each other and the world around us in a way that is positive and fruitful for everyone involved. And so this documentary feature that we're making, called Restorative Culture, Johnathan Morin, essentially is about how profound culture is, how profound the lessons and teachings of our ancestors are and should be upheld, should be remembered, should be celebrated. Canada, it defines itself as a multicultural society. But as of today, it kind of feels like, well, we have these Eurocentric norms, and we tolerate your differences. We consume the artifacts of your culture, like your food, maybe some of your clothing, but we don't really understand the relevance of it. We don't understand where it comes from. We actually don't really care, because guess what? Rent in Toronto is very expensive, and I got to get to work. I got to get mine. I got to get mine. I got to get mine. But there's so much brilliance around the world, from cultures that have millennia of experience of bringing people together and figuring out a fruitful way of living. And if Canada was actually a multicultural society, arguably, we should be at the forefront of human knowledge. So this documentary feature, Restorative Culture, Johnathan Morin, follows you and your process of learning your culture. As a tap dancer that has engaged for years in Black culture and has found community in that, now there's this opening for you to dive in and learn Indigenous culture, Cree culture, TUYAIOUT culture. Did I get that right? Is that what we did?
Yeah. 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 It was a good, definitely helped like open the door, you know.
Hmm.
You can't lead a horse to water, or you can't. What's the saying? You can't
You can
you
lead a
can't make
horse
a
to water.
drink,
Yeah, there you go.
right? You can't make a drink, right? So definitely, it was it wasn't a easy process. It's not an easy process, but it's a necessary process, and it's something that I highly suggest anybody in general to do, is to take a look at who you are, where you came from, and be honest with yourself and with your family, and be diligent in finding out who you really are, and not who you're labeled as in a societal way. Because to call oneself Canadian is where you from, where you from, or what's your background, or oh, I'm Canadian. No, you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and it's a commonplace. That's what everybody says, you know. And there's not that many people that actually can call this land their home.
Hmm.
So it's just it's important. At least for me, it was life-changing. I think I was very lucky. I was very blessed to have been given this opportunity. I think that we talk about restorative culture and what the government can do, I was in a very privileged situation in where the government, we were gifted money to make this happen. Do you know what I mean? We were gifted resources to make this happen. And
shout out to the Canada Council for the Arts.
And I think it's that's a good start. And I'm one person, you know what I mean? There's thousands and thousands of people that should be afforded this opportunity to be guided on this journey, and to be helped financially and emotionally, and just supported in their healing journey. So I feel very fortunate to have been blessed, and I I can't express enough gratitude, because I'm just aware of how how rare it is to be given a lot of this stuff, really set up for success, imagine that, eh?
So we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and talk more about restorative culture and get into the nitty-gritty of what the documentary is actually about. Stay tuned to Turnout Radio, CIUT 89.5. I'm your guest host, Travis Knights, filling in for Nicole Inica Hamilton. We'll be right back. And we're back. Welcome to Turnout Radio, CIUT 89.5. I'm your guest host, Travis Knights, filling in for Nicole Inica Hamilton, and we're speaking with one of the most incredible tap dancers in Canada, Johnathan Morin. Yo, how did you get to this position, one of the most incredible tap dancers in Canada? Did you just like put on a pair of shoes and ta-da? Like what happened? What's the secret, Johnny?
I just came out of the womb and just sort of I wish. So I worked really hard.
Yeah.
I practiced a lot. I was inspired by great men and women, and I was I was blessed to be a part of this community and a guest in this dance, and I just try my best to show up for the dance and practice as much as I can, and taught me how to work hard and taught me how to be a good person, and still working on all those things. And yeah,
Yeah,
one shuffle at a time.
That's not really clear, for parents out there who are looking for something for their kids to do. It's not really clear that putting your child in dance can like teach them life skills, can teach them how to be a good person. Like, how did that show up for you?
I mean, if you let it, right? Like, I think
Facts.
that's a really important thing. Like, you can't just put your kid in extracurriculars and expect this to happen. Like, you need to actually embrace what it is that you're doing. Whether it be dance, whether it be music, whether it be whatever kind of artistic expression it is, right? Because I see this a lot. I see a lot of kids being put into these activities or these things, and then 5-10 years later, then the kid's like, oh, I don't want to go to school, I want to pursue this like, I want to be a singer, I want to be a dancer. And they're like, oh, what do you mean you want to be a singer or a dancer? You can't do that. You got to go to school and you got to get an education, and you got to do, you got to live in the real world. And it's like, well, we are living in the real world, and this is this is what it is, right? I think it's important that we support our young men and young women and young people, that they are able to do and be what they want to be, and whatever it is that they choose. So what was the question though? You actually asked me a question.
Yeah, I did. Like, there are a couple of things that you said though that I want to jump into. When your child comes to you and essentially says who they are, there's this quote from Maya Angelou: when somebody tells you who they are, believe them, right? It is fact that if you choose a life in the arts, that's a really difficult path, but such is life.
Yeah.
Right? Am I lying? Like, life is difficult,
Yeah, I think anything that you choose is difficult.
Yeah.
So why not choose something that you love?
Exactly. And feel like you can contribute to. And here's where I'm going with this. Back to the documentary that we're making, Restorative Culture, coming out this spring, actually. And if you're a tap dancer, you know exactly what day we're aiming for. Okay. So in this particular moment in quote unquote Canadian history, there's a real need for culture makers. There's a real need for storytellers, artists to shine a light, reveal a path forward of how things could be, how things are, how things have been, and how things could be. And if your child comes to you and says, I want to be an artist, there's a responsibility to that. There's a community mindedness to that. There's a whole history of that. There's resources. You can support your children in many different ways, but I promise you, it's not an easy life. It is not a lazy life. You have to literally invent or create the life that you want to live in. And I think that is the calling of an artist. It is sometimes torture. It's, sometimes you have torture nights, but that's what family and community and therapy and good health and regimen, that's what all that's for. Johnathan, since as far back as I've known you, I've seen you as a person that cares, about community, a person that cares about the next generation. And as an educator, I wonder, going back to the original question, what are the things that you try to impart on your students in terms of life lessons and how to be?
Right. Yeah, I think that that shifted as I've grown older. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like when I first started, it was like I as I first started, it was really what's the word? Narrow-minded, I guess, in a sense that like, I wanted my students to be good tap dancers. I wanted them to have clean shuffles, right? Like,
Really important.
that's what you would want that's yeah, you'd think that's what's important. But as
Yeah.
I've grown older, I've really expanded and um what I'm trying to uh offer, I guess,
Mm.
or push. And I think it's important that like teaching my students how to like celebrate themselves, to find themselves within what we're doing, to learn how to become the best versions of themselves through practice, through ritual, through respect of themselves, respect of the craft, to teach them how to be a good person and a better person for themselves, for their family, to show up for themselves, to build community, to honor the dance, honor themselves.
Mm.
And all this happens through learning how to dance,
Right.
learning how to dance is a very broad spectrum, it's like, and again, you start off learning how to shuffle, learning how to flap, and learning how to, do rhythm turns.
Hmm.
But
I was the worst at those.
that's just the that's just the beginning, though. I think once you really get into the nitty gritty,
Hmm.
once you figure out how to use those steps in the foundation moving forward and what you're going to do with those steps, that's where the real learning begins. And that's when you start learning about who you are. And that's where you start learning how to, be a business person, learning how to be a good educator, learning how to show up for the dance first and yourself second. And it's uh it's a process, and it's not something where you can be like, oh, okay, well, I'm good now, I'm done now,
Right.
like now what, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it's an everyday thing, so my goals have changed when it comes
Mm.
to teaching, and I think that it's important to consistently and constantly be um reflecting on why we do these things. And before, my audience or my impact on my students was very narrow because of what I was focusing on. I was
Sure.
focusing on, building building tap dancers that could shuffle instead of building people that can affect change and people that can or affecting someone's life in a positive way.
Mm.
Teaching people how to work hard and to uh, see progress in their life through practice and habitual ways of dealing with things and problems and problem solving and all these things.
All
But
the
anyways,
things. I've been tap dancing for almost 30 years, and I tell you, I know next to nothing. It's ridiculous. But I'm encouraged because the tap dancers that I looked up to, the tap dancers that inspired me to start dancing in the first place, they were all over the age of 60. It was just like the swagger was delicious. And I look forward to aging in the dance. It's confusing, this dance, this tap dance. There's a perception of it that I'm now trying to, I don't want to say ignore, but I'm trying to shift my focus in a different way. And I promise, Johnny, we're coming back to restorative culture. We're coming back to it. But a brief history. So Africans in the 13 colonies under slavery in 1739, starting with a specific plantation, they rebelled and they slaughtered their, I don't want to say masters, human traffickers, kidnappers, oppressors. Well, I don't know. They slaughtered the those that claimed to own them and referred to them as slaves. And they signaled across plantations with drums. And so more and more plantations were being overrun by these rebelling, freedom-seeking Africans. And at the time, they were traveling toward Florida, toward different opportunity, toward freedom. And this is called the Stoner Rebellion of 1739. These Africans were captured and made horrible, gruesome examples of. Subsequently, in 1740, that's where we get something called the Negro Act. And the Negro Act is where you get the laws that many of us maybe know or don't know, where Africans, their movements are restricted. Africans were not allowed to read or write. Africans were not allowed to use their drums. It's called the Negro Act of 1740. Now, because of that, that's where you get, these ancestral rhythms are transferred to the body, and you get a new form called buck dancing. That's what the enslavers called it. They called enslaved Africans bucks, and so they called it buck dancing. And over time, buck dancing becomes buck and wing. Buck and wing becomes known as tap. Now, among these Africans, while they're engaging in this new form of percussive dance, not really new because they're expressing their African, quite frankly, cross-cultural African dances, musics. It's not about showing anybody. It's about connecting. It's about being in a circle. It's about being in community. It's about ceremony. It's a way to connect to Creator. It's a way to connect to their ancestors that have passed. It's a way to connect to their ancestors that are yet to come. It is a spiritual form. But then, around 1840, this musician, performing artist, I guess you'd say, Thomas Rice, observes an African on a plantation doing this, and he creates a parody called Jumping Jim Crow. And the song is a hit. He uses burnt cork and paints his face black and goes around the country. It's a hit. He's making so much money. It's ridiculous. It's so popular that this is the beginning of what's known as minstrel shows. And minstrel shows just overtake what becomes known as the United States, Canada, Europe. It travels all over the place, where these performers wear blackface, quote unquote tap dance, and perform in this caricature, making fun of Africans on slave plantations. And this is the foundation of what we know today as tap dance. So a lot of what we're used to seeing in terms of this, like, facing the audience, constantly breaking the fourth wall, performative shuffle ball change, it's really rooted in this violent propaganda known as minstrelsy. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be in ceremony with this dance. I'm trying to connect to myself, exactly the way I described it, in terms of what the Africans were originally doing. And Johnathan D. Morin, this project, Restorative Culture, this documentary, is so important to me, because it was only when I started working with you that I started to think of Africans as the indigenous peoples of Africa. And I started to understand, like, the sacredness of the drums, these different rituals, ceremonies, understanding of nature and the world around as being very profound. I wonder, can you share how this process changed you, what you learned? How did it affect your approach to the dance? Let's go. Take me through it, man.
Yeah, it was it's been a process. I remember shortly after coming back. So like we went to Edmonton,
Mhm.
which was a big portion of the project, but we went to Edmonton and connected with my family, went to my grandma uh in Meadow Lake and spent time, where my family is from, and went to a couple powwows and just like was at home.
Hmm.
And when I came back, and it was a different time. Like it was like literally completely, like my life had shifted. Like everything was very different.
You
And
came back to Toronto.
yes, I
Yeah.
came back to Toronto, and everything was just really different. And I was kind of just figuring out where like the dance kind of fit in my life. And yeah, it was difficult. It was difficult because I was struggling to find balance in how I was going to move forward, because I had a lot of things that I want to do, and I have a lot of things I continue to want to do. So I put it this way, right? So I spend 30 years of my life, give or take, you know what I mean? Like I didn't, I as I joked, I didn't actually come out tap dancing out of the womb. I probably started when I was around 7 or 8. So I would say the last, what,
20 something.
20 years or so. Yeah.
Mhm.
I've been tap dancing, and I spent my whole life learning how to tap dance, how to speak in uh, whatever language you want to call this,
Rhythms.
and
Yeah.
learning the culture, learning the traditions, learning how to be who I am as a tap dancer. And so that's 20 years of like living this life every day, learning about this life every day, and immersing myself in this life of African American jazz dance and the culture of what it is. And then I went back home and realized how much work I have to do to understand who I am and who I'm supposed to be. So I come back and I realize I have to do it all over again.
Hmm.
I have to learn my culture now. I have to learn what it is to be who I am, and to relearn the history of who I am and where I came from and how we got here, and relearn a brand new language,
Hmm.
um, brand new to me,
Hmm.
to learn the traditions and the culture of what it is to be Nehiao. So for me, it was very overwhelming, in a sense that, like, because I've done this before, I understand how much work and how much time and how much uh insides it's gonna take, and specifically how much like energy and time. Like that was the thing, is so if this is what I want to do, how am I going to get there, and all. And so for me, that's where the juggle came. That's where it was like, okay, so I want to dedicate my life really to getting to know myself. And I have this thing called jazz. I have this thing called tap dance, yeah, that has brought me here, that has given me a way to live,
Mm.
pay my bills, live in the Western society. And then I have what's important to me that uh, I need to prioritize, and I need to learn how to juggle both. And one of them is really important because I like to eat food and I like to have a roof over my head and I like to, like live a life where uh, I'm able to provide for myself.
Mm.
And then the other one is important because it is who I am, and uh it's it's more important than, anything that I've ever experienced in my life. So um it was difficult. Like, it was really hard to figure out how to balance things, but you know, as every day goes by, you learn a little bit more and you kind of figure out and you navigate. And so the one thing I do know is that Rome wasn't built in a day, or, these things don't happen overnight, and growth isn't linear. So be patient and be kind to myself, and
Yeah.
just take it day by day and try to chip away. And I didn't learn how to keep time overnight, and I didn't learn how to take a 10-minute solo on one lesson. It took me a lifetime. So it's going to take me a lifetime to you know learn how to survive in a powwow and figure out how to speak my language. And
Yeah.
you know it's going to take a while, and that's where the lessons of the journey really is going to take me, and I can't rush it. If I rush it, then I'm going to miss a lot. So
You don't want to. You don't want
yeah.
to. Yeah. There's hmm, we don't want to miss anything more. There's a lot of catch up to do.
Yeah.
And you don't
Yeah.
want to miss out on the last segment. We're going to take a really quick break and come back. This is Turnout Radio on CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm your guest host, Travis Knights, filling in for Nicole Inica Hamilton. We're speaking with the extraordinary Johnathan Morin, tap dancer. Come back. And we're back. This is Turnout Radio, CIUT 89.5 FM. I'm your guest host, Travis Knights, filling in for Nicole Inica Hamilton. We're talking with one of the finest tap dancers in Canada. His name is Johnathan Morin. You don't want to go up against this guy in a cipher. He will cut you with kindness, but he will still cut you. It's great to see. It's a great thing to see. Listen, I encourage it. If you have tap shoes and you've ever been in a cipher, a challenge, it's a wonderful experience to reach your limit and then not actually witness the limit of Johnathan Morin. Hey, Johnathan, we've been talking a lot about this documentary feature that's coming out in the spring of 2023. You can actually follow us on the Tap Love Tour Instagram page where we put up updates constantly, and you'll figure out times and places that you can check out the film. It's called Restorative Culture, Johnathan Morin. The basic premise with the film is healing. It's like a theme behind restorative culture. I wonder, during this process, have you experienced any kind of healing?
Yeah, I mean, I cried a lot, so that's a good place to start. I yeah, I definitely have. I every day just kind of trying to chip away. It
Yeah,
really is like you don't you think you're good, you think you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm all good, and then you like unearth this segment of stuff
yeah.
that's like, oh, where'd that come from? Um, so yeah, I think that it'll be a lifelong journey. I think that I'd be ignorant to say that like, I'm all healed up and ready to go.
Yeah.
Like I know that moving forward that you know, as an example, when I have children and that day comes, like that's gonna be a whole brand new set of things that are going to bring opportunities, but also bring a brand new set of like traumas that I'm gonna have to deal with,
Mm.
um, brand new set of memories that come back or um, things I'm just gonna have to navigate. And the goal is to do it all before, obviously, but there's gonna be things that I just not unforeseen or um, so yeah.
There's an African proverb that states that it takes a whole village to raise a child. I really believe that. Hey, Johnny,
Mm.
if you ever need a babysitter,
Yeah.
I could point you to someone to call. No, no, no. I'm open and available. Open and available. So I'm. I don't mean to be offensive, but I've been tap dancing around this idea for the whole show.
Mhm.
But it's really an encouragement, no matter who you are, to go back into your ancestry and really understand where you come from. Go travel. I remember, so my mother, she's originally from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and my family's originally from this place called Africville. Look it up. It's quite the story, and so I went there maybe a year before the pandemic and to visit and learn. And it's like a fact, I did interviews. You know me. You know how I do. And it was astonishing how much I fit in, how familiar people that I'd never met felt. These expressions that I grew up with, it's just everything just felt hyper familiar, and I came back to Toronto from that trip feeling more whole, and I do believe in it as a prescription of understanding self and these labels that have been put upon us. When I say Africans, I'm talking about a bunch of different cultural people who spoke completely different languages and who had completely different lineages, different histories, different belief systems, and they were taken, kidnapped, in like one of the greatest human trafficking operations in human history. 12 million Africans transported from Western Africa to all over the Americas and Europe, and stripped of their languages and cultures and just labeled black. Well, guess what? The same thing happened to white, not in terms of enslavement, but the designation of white removes your very specific and rich cultural heritage from you. And what I'm trying to say is, moving forward, I do believe in crossing this threshold of a new wealth, of a new age of abundance where we are strengthened and fortified with a foundation of self that is unmatched because we're connected to ourselves and each other in a way that is filled with reverence and respect and genuine curiosity. Johnathan, I am genuinely curious about your journey for the next 30, 40, 50 years. It's like I'm excited for you. What's next for you?
Yeah, so I would say in like the near future, I would say like I don't know if I'm just phrasing this right. I would say like in the next while.
Okay.
I am gonna do everything that you do when you're like a kid. I'm gonna try to learn how to speak properly,
I love it.
but in a brand new language.
Mm.
So I just wrapped up some, I don't want to say it was language lessons, as more like cultural teachings with, it was labeled like getting to know yourself through like the culture of Nehiao, and there was like language teachings in the classes.
Mm.
Uh, but we were meeting 3 days a week. It was a very, what's the word? Generous 2 hours.
Okay.
It sometimes it leaked into 2.5, 3 hours. It was
It's like a
great.
Diane Walker class. What is
Yeah.
this?
Yes. It was a lot of sharing,
Mm.
and that's what I really did appreciate the class, in a sense that, like, you know, it wasn't just like, okay, let's learn these words and what they mean, and like that's such like a bastardized way of thinking about how like language is taught, like
Yeah.
it's not, at least uh like that's not the way the language is passed down. Like there's so many teachings, and there's so much uh volume to the language and what it can give you. And so that's why these classes, they went on for, you know, sometimes an extra hour, was because, we needed to take that time to really digest what these teachings were about. And so we just wrapped up. It was about a 6 month, I don't know, call it a
Session.
program, but it was
Okay.
like yeah, 6 month sessions. I think we started in October. It just ended. And now I don't know what to do with my life on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays.
Mm.
It was bittersweet. It was like to like finally be done, because now, yeah, it was like almost like I had therapy sessions every like 3 times a week,
Wow.
and now like I don't. So I'm searching for where to go next. Like in the near future, I actually have a gig that's going to bring me out of town. I'll be in BC, mostly in Vancouver for rehearsal, and then Kelowna and Nanaimo. So I'll be prioritizing the dance for just a short period of time here. Then I have a show lined up at the Fringe with Rhythm and Sound. That's a 7 day run, so I'm gonna have to dedicate some time to that. That's back to back. So
Wow.
um I come back from Vancouver, and then I really should be starting stuff now, to be honest.
Listen, so we're almost out of time. It's been obviously very nice to have you on the show. As we come to a close, you mentioned Rhythm and Sound, the tap dance production company that you run with the incredible
Mhm.
Corey Giannata. Fringe Festival. First of all, when is the Fringe Festival?
Uh
What?
I think it's second week of July.
Congratulations for what should people
Thank you.
expect from Rhythm and Sound?
Uh yeah, I mean, as in general, like, tap dance presented at a high level in ways that we think highlight what tap dance is about. It's forever changing.
Mm.
We change our approach numerous times. So this Fringe show is obviously going to be a little bit more theater based, because we're in a theater environment. But yeah, it kind of depends. Like I'm gonna be trying to run a tap dance day event on obviously May 25th, or in and around. So that'll be live music jam, celebrating everything that tap dance has to offer. Yeah, it changes every single time we do it. You know what I mean? We've done shows with live band. We've done the last shows that we were doing, it was a cappella, just tap dance.
Mm.
45-minute show. Crazy idea can't believe we actually ended up doing it.
It was fire. Go on.
Yeah, so it's whatever we feel.
I dig it. I dig it. Ultimate creative control. Where can people find you, keep up with you and your movements?
So yeah, I have my personal page, Johnny Morin, JOHNNYMORIN on Instagram, on Twitter, and then on TikTok and YouTube. I'm Telotone Taps. That was a old moniker that I used to go by way back in the day. Shout out Capizio.
Hey, now.
Would love a sponsorship. Hook it up.
Come on, Capizio.
And yeah, that's where you can find me. Rhythm and Sound, rhythm _and _sound. That's our Instagram.
Listen, I got this like really intense chill, like this real sense of nervousness when you said May 25th.
Yeah.
If you want to see this incredible documentary, I promise there's a lot of heart, there's a lot of soul in it. Restorative Culture, Johnathan Morin, coming to you very soon. Follow Tap Love Tour on Instagram for more information about it. It was an absolute privilege to sit down with you for this last hour. Thank you so much for sharing with us here on Turnout Radio. So great to speak to you today, Johnny. All the best to you.
My pleasure.
Today you've been listening to the sounds of Cannonball Adderley with Autumn Leaves and John Coltrane with Blue Train.
That's it for today's broadcast of Turnout Radio. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. What a pleasure it was to sit down with Johnathan Morin. The documentary, once more, Restorative Culture, Johnathan Morin, has been and continues to be a transformational process for myself, for Johnny, and for the filmmakers involved. I don't think I can overstate this. When you witness not only Johnny's incredible proficiency at tap dance, it's just like ridiculous what he does. That's one thing, but it's well overshadowed by Johnny's courage, his vulnerability, and his openness to share his story and his process. Within the documentary, he creates several original music dance pieces. I've never been more proud of any work that I've done. So check it out. Do yourself a favor. What are you doing? Come on. What am I sitting here convincing you for? Check it out. Stay in touch with us at Tap Love Tour on Instagram for more information. Be sure to visit www.turnoutradio.com for more interviews and the latest in dance news. Technical production of today's broadcast was facilitated by Amber Downey Back. Tune in next week, a Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more Turnout Radio. I'm Travis Knights, your guest host for the day, filling in for Nicole Inica Hamilton. I hope your week finds you swinging on the 2 and 4 and turning out to dance.